Imagine a secret contract signed over 2 decades ago in some quiet German notary office that supposedly sold the entire world.
Right.
It sounds like the plot of an intricate sci-fi thriller, doesn't it? A truly unbelievable premise.
Completely.
But what if the claims within our sources suggest this isn't fiction at all, but actually a very real, albeit hidden, truth?
That's the hook, isn't it?
Exactly. Today we're embarking on an extraordinary deep dive into an unsettling and frankly expansive narrative. It's centered around a document known as the Staten Succession Secundo 1.1198.
Which translates roughly to the World Succession Deed 1.498.
Right. Our sources contend that this single, seemingly obscure legal instrument, signed in this quiet German town, triggered an unforeseen domino effect.
A domino effect that, they claim, fundamentally reshaped global sovereignty.
Yes, allegedly rendering traditional nation-states, obsolete, and setting the stage for nothing less than a radical new form of global governance, an electronic technocracy.
It's a massive claim. From one document to a global technocracy.
It really is. For this journey, we've compiled a truly fascinating stack of material. Our sources include in-depth investigative reports, rigorous legal analyses that really pick apart the clauses of this deed.
And even, quite remarkably, autobiographical excerpts from the very individual purportedly at the heart of this colossal global transaction.
Exactly. These documents don't just detail the alleged sale, they also launch this sweeping, almost revolutionary critique of all traditional forms of government.
And then they introduce this tech-driven future envisioned to replace them. Audacious is one word for it.
It is. Our mission today is to unpack this exceptionally complex and provocative narrative for you.
Yeah.
We're going to meticulously explore the alleged mechanisms behind this supposed world-changing deed.
We'll scrutinize the shadowy, pervasive role attributed to the deep state in orchestrating it,
Uh-huh.
and then delve deeply into the proposed vision of an electronic technocracy.
Which our sources suggest is the inevitable, or perhaps even the most desirable, outcome for humanity. We'll present this information precisely as our sources do, helping you navigate these remarkable claims and understand what's most important in the material you've shared with us.
Right, presenting the narrative as it's laid out in the documents themselves.
Okay, let's unpack this truly incredible story. Our journey begins rather prosaically, you could say, on October 6, 1998.
In a German notary office, Saarlouis.
All right, in Saarlouis.
Right.
What our sources described was, on the surface, a seemingly ordinary property sale. But if these claims hold true, it was in fact anything but ordinary.
Far from it.
This was the precise moment the Staten Succession Circunda 1498 was allegedly signed. A deed our sources claim would alter the very fabric of global power.
Indeed, the sources present this document as a masterwork of legal subterfuge. We're told it was cunningly disguised.
As just a simple land purchase.
Exactly. Designed to fly under the radar. Yet they characterize it in really dramatic terms. A juristisches Massenvernichtungsinstrument.
A legal weapon of mass destruction. That's quite a label.
It is.
Okay.
Its true intent, they claim, wasn't merely to transfer a parcel of land from one owner to another. It was to initiate a profound and crucially irreversible shift in the global order.
Fundamentally altering the concept of state sovereignty worldwide.
Yes. The sheer audacity of this claim that a single deed under the guise of a routine transaction could unravel the geopolitical landscape, it's truly remarkable.
The profound insight here, according to them, is that one deed, through a clever, almost insidious legal mechanism, is alleged to have dissolved the very framework of global governance, essentially creating a single, vast legal entity where none existed before.
It's not just a change, it's presented as a total re-architecture of reality.
Here's where it gets really interesting almost. Well, cinematic. The central figure in this story, the purported buyer.
Yeah.
He was a then 19-year-old, born in March 1976. Our sources paint him as incredibly unassuming, almost a caricature of innocence.
Like super naive, completely clueless, totally blauäugig, that German term for extreme naivety.
Right. His sole ambition, we're told, was just to be an estate agent. Earn commissions, build a simple life, certainly not to become a global proprietor.
The sources say he broke off school early, worked with his mother marketing these conversion areas, former U.S. Army sites in Germany.
So no money, no power, no connections.
And perhaps most crucially, utterly without understanding of complex international law or the machinations of what our sources call the deep state.
His supposed innocence and complete lack of pre-existing connections, paradoxically, rendered him the perfect tool for this alleged intricate plan, or so the sources claim.
The narrative describes how the Oberfinance direction co-blends the OFD, a regional finance authority, purportedly packed with experts in international law and NATO statutes, became his negotiating partner.
After years of him working on marketing in a NATO barracks.
Yes, in ZWRLP. The opportunity arose to sell a portion, but the turning point came when the young buyer, in his, well, naivety, suggested selling the entire NATO property, including a section still actively used by Dutch NATO troops.
Which sounds like a huge overstep for an estate agent.
Right. And the OFD's response was reportedly direct and telling. That requires an international law treaty.
Wow.
His casual, almost flippant reply, "Then we'll make one," allegedly just catapulted him squarely into the sights of intelligence agencies.
So that offhand remark triggered everything.
According to the sources, yes. These agencies then supposedly conducted an exhaustive total vetting of him and his family, confirmed him as the ideal, isolated, unwitting victim.
And there's more to that setup, isn't there? About the actual purchase.
Oh, absolutely. What's particularly chilling in the sources is the claim that just before the originally planned signing, with a genuine investor lined up, he received a shocking call from the OFD. They said they couldn't deal with real estate agents directly.
So pulling the rug out from under him.
Seemingly. A solution was then presented. Instead of his commission, he should just receive properties of equal value, meaning he should buy them himself.
But he had no money, right?
Exactly, despite having no personal funds. And then his mother's seemingly innocent insistence that he purchase as a private person to save on taxes.
Oh.
Further played, perhaps unwittingly, into the conspirators' hands, making the transaction appear even more mundane, just a private land deal.
So the document itself, far from being about just some specific piece of land, reportedly involved the sale of a NATO military property with all rights, obligations, and components.
That's paragraph 3, section I of the deed.
Now that sounds like standard legal boilerplate in any property contract, doesn't it?
It does, on the surface.
But our sources claim it's actually the foundational linchpin of this entire alleged global takeover. How does a seemingly innocuous clause like that achieve such a staggering effect?
This is where the legal interpretation, according to our sources, becomes incredibly ingenious and, well, frankly, terrifying.
Okay.
The sources explain this clause as the absolute key to state succession under international law.
State succession, like when one country takes over another's territory.
Sort of, yes. It's the legal process when one state replaces another in responsibility for a territory. The Vienna Convention covers this usually.
But this is different.
Radically different, according to the claims. They argue this deed didn't just transfer a military base, it triggered a global succession.
How?
By ingeniously linking physical infrastructure to international legal frameworks. They detailed this Erschließung als Einheit concept.
Development as a unit.
Right. The entire infrastructure of the property, electricity, water, telecoms, internet, heating networks, all included in the sale as one indivisible legal unit.
Okay, still sounds like a property detail.
But here's the crux of the domino effect. Because these networks extend far beyond the initial base. They connect globally via submarine cables to the U.S., terrestrial lines across Europe. So the sold territory supposedly expanded through a literal domino effect to all linked areas.
All linked areas. Meaning?
Meaning it encompassed not only all NATO members through their interconnected infrastructure, but through further contract chains involving global organizations like the UN's International Telecommunication Union, the ITU.
Which governs global communication.
Exactly. It extended to virtually all UN states. Effectively, according to the sources, this made the entire world subject to this single contract.
Without needing new signatures or treaties from every country.
Precisely. No new ratifications needed. They cite the Corfu border regulation case as a precedent for this kind of expansive territorial enlargement via infrastructure.
That's a leap.
It is. And the fact that the deed also referenced the existing international law transfer relationship of the land to Dutch NATO troops further cemented its international legal character, meaning other parties didn't need to sign. Their mention and the pre-existing legal framework coupled with their later inaction.
Reportedly constituted consent.
That's the claim. It implies a legal trap set with incredible foresight, a silent takeover.
And this wasn't just a standalone agreement, a singular event. The Staten Successionsurkunde is portrayed as a supplementary deed.
Like a master key.
Yeah, acting like a master key that automatically augmented, redefined, even superseded existing treaties. NATO, the UN, all of them.
It allegedly reconfigured the entire vast network of international agreements. Didn't just add a layer, it rewrote the foundations.
The alleged consequence of this contract chain is truly far-reaching, revolutionary, if true.
Absolutely. The sources claim it led to the effective nullification of all existing international law as we know it,
Because the world would then exist not as separate sovereign states.
but as a single subject of international law, a single entity, which means traditional borders, independent legal systems, fundamentally undermined.
And as a result, they claim even the high seas, traditionally belonging to no one,
Extraterritorial res nullius.
would fall under the jurisdiction of this new global entity.
Yes. But most crucially, and this is a staggering assertion, the sources claim the buyer received sole international jurisdiction over the contract and its interpretation.
Making him what? The highest judge in the world.
In essence, yes. The highest judicial authority for the entire world and the specified court location, Lea defaults.
Yes.
Notably within the sold territory, thus allegedly falling under his newly acquired jurisdiction.
Okay, that's neat if you're setting up a legal trap.
And there's more. The sources emphasize the 2-year international appeals period for such a deed, standard stuff,
Right.
allegedly expired precisely on October 6, 2000, rendering the contract legally unchallengeable after that date.
So the window closed.
The window slammed shut, according to them. They also mention a salvatorish clausel, a severability clause, Section 21, meaning if parts of the contract were invalid, the corresponding international law would automatically apply. But crucially, it kept the core contract intact.
And the buyer remained the sole beneficiary, even if other parties involved, like Taskibau AG, had their claims invalidated.
That's the argument. It was allegedly a watertight legal fortress designed for global reach, an inescapable contract.
You might be wondering, as I certainly am, why didn't any government protest this? Why didn't the UN, NATO, international courts intervene if the stakes were the entire global order?
It's the obvious question, isn't it? How could this happen in silence?
Our sources offer a chilling, almost cynical answer. They claim all bereits bezahlt wurden.
Meaning, unequivocally, that all key players had already been paid off.
A silent, insidious acquiescence across the global elite. Is that the idea?
That's the most unsettling aspect of this part of the narrative. The alleged motivation for politicians, officials, diplomats, as presented in these sources, was nothing less than an ultimate invitation to plunder.
Plunder what? Their own states.
Essentially, yes. The sources suggest that governments aware of this impending global shift were actively encouraged to accumulate vast national debts.
Knowing that. What? It would matter.
Knowing that on a future, yet-to-be-determined DayX, this global deed would somehow lead to a worldwide debt cancellation by a new state or entity.
Get-out-of-jail-free card for national debt.
Exactly. This, they claim, serves as the explanation for the explosive growth of national debts across the globe since the year 2000, all seemingly without the usual severe economic consequences or genuine accountability.
The allure of a clean slate for financial mismanagement.
A reset button for national treasuries was apparently too strong for the existing powers to resist, effectively making them silent, complicit partners in this alleged global betrayal.
It suggests a deeply cynical, long-game strategy. Short-term benefit over long-term responsibility.
That's the picture painted. Unchecked spending now because it'll all be wiped clean later.
Okay, building on this astounding revelation of a global deed and this alleged silent acquiescence, our sources pivot. They introduce the concept of the deep state as a critical, insidious player in this entire narrative.
And they don't just use the term loosely.
No, they offer a very specific definition. A hidden power structure within a state, often operating beyond the official government system.
Acting above the law, using covert methods. They even compare it to historical secret police like the Gestapo or Stasi.
So it's depicted not merely as a conspiracy theory, but as a systematic breakdown of the rule of law, woven into the very fabric of governance.
Exactly. And this deep state, as described, isn't a monolithic, unified entity. It's more complex.
A shadowy network.
Precisely. Purportedly comprising members from diverse public service sectors, notaries facilitating legal maneuvers,
Judges manipulating outcomes.
police being directed, politicians serving its agenda, intelligence officers executing covert ops, even elements from organized crime and the press controlling perception.
A broad coalition operating in the shadows.
Its power, the sources argue, derives from its ability to manipulate existing laws and institutions for covert criminal enrichment, all while meticulously maintaining a facade of legitimacy.
And this isn't just one country's problem.
No, the sources assert it's unequivocally global. All over the world, in every country, and often with multiple competing factions vying for influence.
Impeding deep states.
Apparently so. They suggest the deep state operates using proven intelligence methods that are officially forbidden in a Rechtsstaat, a proper constitutional state.
To ensure secrecy.
Yes. Its revelation, they claim, would be the death knell for the legitimacy and public trust of any traditional state.
Yeah.
It would expose the illusion of governance.
The sources go into considerable detail about how this deep state allegedly operates, don't they?
They do. They claim it employs advanced surveillance technologies, citing things like the NSA revelations to monitor and control.
But it doesn't just watch.
No, it actively manipulates public opinion through influence over media, shaping narratives, and, quite chillingly, it systematically eliminates political or economic competition.
Targeting who?
Specifically targeting successful, ordinary citizens who might pose a threat or maybe just possess assets desirable to the deep state.
Wow. What really stands out here is how these sources suggest that laws primarily apply to, well, us, the everyday citizens.
While the deep state actors themselves can seemingly circumvent them with impunity, creating a system where, ultimately, the right of the stronger or maybe the most cunning dominates.
Operating above any legal or ethical constraint.
Financially, the deep state is alleged to employ incredibly sophisticated methods for its enrichment, creating vast illicit wealth.
Oh.
Through extensive use of offshore structures, shell companies, anonymous accounts.
The usual suspect places.
Yeah.
Tax havens.
Exactly. The UK, Delaware, Panama, the Cayman Islands, exploiting their secrecy and lax regulations to move and hide vast sums.
In international organizations.
NGOs, reportedly favored for money laundering, large-scale transfers, bribery, though cash bribery is still allegedly preferred for smaller, direct inducements.
And they name names, don't they? Tassi Bao AG.
Yes, specifically mentioning Tassi Bao AG with its board member, Joseph Tabellion, alleging this entity funded the Urkunden Roll 14098, the World Succession Deed itself.
On behalf of who?
Presumably on behalf of intelligence services that actively leverage the deep state's capabilities. They claim profits from deals like handling former East German state enterprises run into the billions.
Providing the deep state with virtually unlimited, undeclared funds.
To expand its power and influence globally, it's described as a system designed for self-perpetuation and immense illicit gain.
Crucially, our sources draw a direct and chilling link between this pervasive deep state and the Staatensuccession Urkunde 14098.
They assert, quite unequivocally, that the deep state didn't just know about it.
They co-initiated it, were active architects.
That's the assertion, suggesting a deeply intertwined long-term strategy that predates the deed itself, not just opportunistic exploitation.
And the motivation, why would they do this?
The motivation, as presented, is an absolute boom time for the deep state, a period of unprecedented opportunity.
Allowing them to systematically plunder the sold states before their eventual collapse.
Precisely. The knowledge of the 1498 deed, revealing this imminent, inevitable collapse of traditional states, allegedly serves as an incredibly powerful recruitment tool.
For public officials. How?
Picture this. You're a public official, facing potential unemployment, losing your pension, the instability of a collapsing system.
Right.
You're supposedly drawn into the deep state's orbit, promised security and personal gain in exchange for complicity.
The sources use a vivid analogy, don't they?
They do, likening them to rats leaving a sinking ship. But not, they emphasize, before stuffing their pockets with illicit gains.
A deeply cynical, meticulously planned strategy, possibly decades in the making.
Aimed at declaring states bankrupt after maximal self-enrichment and then handing them over debt-free to the new global entity.
There's that quote they mentioned.
Yes, from an OFD official cited in the sources. Sometimes you have to tear down the house to save at least the land.
Suggesting a deliberate, destructive strategy to facilitate a global reset.
Chilling. The sources paint a stark picture of the unassuming buyer of the NATO property, the 19-year-old.
Claiming he wasn't a co-conspirator.
No, instead he became the first and greatest victim of this alleged New World Order conspiracy.
Used unknowingly to enable the whole thing.
That's the claim. And then subsequently subjected to relentless, systematic persecution. His autobiography, mentioned in our sources, reportedly offers truly shocking details of this alleged ordeal.
What kind of persecution are we talking about?
The alleged persecution is described with harrowing detail. Over 950 legal proceedings.
950.
An astonishing 450 hate articles published in what they call the lying press to demonize and discredit him.
Wow.
He allegedly faced expropriation, was rendered homeless, received death threats, endured physical attacks.
And psychological torment, too.
Yes, what are chillingly described as Stasi handbook-like decomposition methods, those East German secret police tactics.
Like what, specifically?
An almost unbelievable 55 illegal forced evictions in just 3.5 years across 14 German federal states. Repeated deliberate power and water cutoffs to destabilize him entirely.
All this pressure. For what purpose?
All designed, they claim, to motivate him to file a specific lawsuit in Germany.
Why do they need him to sue?
The conspirators' goal, allegedly, was that a subsequent court ruling on this predetermined DayX would then, by judicial decree, validate the original contract.
And effectively transfer his acquired global jurisdiction to Germany.
That's the alleged plan. His steadfast refusal to sue, despite the immense personal costs, is presented as his only weapon in this asymmetric battle.
His refusal is his defense.
Right. The sources speculate that Germany, operating under the belief it already possesses these global rights, is now trying to place the buyer under covert guardianship.
To bypass his refusal.
Force the issue.
To bypass his refusal and unilaterally force this world-ending judgment. They even claim there was a plan for him to unknowingly transfer all rights back to Germany.
Via an Erschließungsvertrag, a development contract back in 2000. It was apparently even laid out in the 1498 deed itself.
But it didn't happen.
Allegedly sabotaged by supposed double agents at the notary who presented him with a simple confirmation instead of the crucial transfer deed.
So Germany was deceived.
He's supposedly deceived into believing the transfer was successful, leading them to persecute the buyer under the false conviction that they already held the world's rights.
And just needed his lawsuit as the final trigger for a court ruling on day X to make it official.
Exactly. It's a complex web of deceit, manipulation, and profound personal suffering, according to these sources.
So if the deep state could exploit and manipulate traditional governmental structures so effectively, it really begs the question, doesn't it? Are these traditional systems inherently flawed to begin with?
That seems to be the next logical step in their argument.
Right. Transitioning from the deep state's alleged machinations, our sources launched this truly sweeping, unsparing critique of all traditional state forms.
Not just one or two, but the whole lot.
They argue that these systems, regardless of ideology or structure, are inherently flawed, and they inevitably lead to an unrecht state.
An unjust state, essentially, where rulers arbitrarily disregard the law, power supersedes justice.
And citizens are ultimately left defenseless against state overreach. This isn't just about individual corruption, it's posited as a fundamental systemic problem.
Indeed, the analysis suggests a pervasive and systemic failure of the rule of law principle across all existing governmental forms, not just occasional breaches.
But a fundamental breakdown.
A breakdown of the very ideals these systems purport to uphold. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources argue it's down to inherent weaknesses in human nature.
Such as?
Such as an insatiable drive for power, unchecked corruption, pervasive self-interest, tribalistic tendencies. These are the underlying forces driving this systemic failure, according to them.
And in traditional party politics?
They claim laws are often broken not just by individuals, but by entire parties, acting unofficially, operating above the state itself.
Misusing legal systems for personal enrichment and power.
Yes, essentially functioning as an unconstitutional criminal organization operating secretly within the deep state, creating this veneer of legitimacy over deeply corrupt practices.
And authorities, courts, they're co-opted.
Allegedly co-opted and used to deny citizens their fundamental rights, all covered by a heavily manipulated and controlled media landscape that suppresses dissent and shapes perception. It's a very bleak assessment.
Very. The sources then proceed to critique specific forms of governance in detail, each revealing a unique pathway to becoming this unrecht state.
Starting with monarchies.
Right. For monarchies, they highlight the extreme danger of arbitrary rule and despotism in absolute monarchies. Power concentrated in one person, often with no effective controls.
And history provides plenty of examples, doesn't it? Monarchs leading nations into devastating wars, oppressing their own people, causing suffering through mismanagement or just personal whim.
The fundamental problem, they assert, is that hereditary succession doesn't guarantee competence or justice. It can't.
making such systems inherently unstable and prone to authoritarianism.
Moving from the single ruler to the rule of a few. Aristocracy and oligarchy are next.
Rule by a small, privileged group nobility, wealthy elites, a self-serving political class.
Criticized for prioritizing their own narrow interests over the well-being of the majority.
Which, according to the sources, inevitably leads to profound inequality, systemic exploitation, and the denial of fundamental rights for everyone else.
They brand these systems as little more than kleptocracies.
Where resources are systematically siphoned off for the benefit of the few, systemic injustices, deep societal conflicts, arising directly from this unequal distribution of power and resources, the structure itself perpetuates their advantage.
What's particularly fascinating here is that even democracies, often praised as the best we have,
Are not immune, according to these sources.
no, they issue a stark warning about the tyranny of the majority, where the larger group can ruthlessly suppress minority rights and freedoms.
And they also detail how democratic processes themselves can be dangerously manipulated.
By what? Populism, misinformation.
Yes, and the undue influence of special interests and powerful lobbying groups. These forces, they claim, distort the democratic ideal, steering policy away from the common good.
They give that stark historical example.
Adolf Hitler's democratic election in 1933, with all its horrific consequences.
Demonstrating how even formally democratic systems can conceal traits of an unwrecked stat and be fatally undermined. Especially, they say, by party interests focused solely on retaining power, not serving the people.
It's a sobering reminder, the form doesn't guarantee the function.
Then you have dictatorship and authoritarianism. These are predictably presented as the most explicit examples of unjust states.
Right. Rulers wield uncontrolled, absolute power, systematically disregard fundamental rights, violently suppress opposition, no ambiguity there.
Historically linked to massive human rights violations, political persecution, wars, and often severe economic misery.
The absence of legal recourse, arbitrary force, subjugation, by definition, an unrecht stat, power is its own justification.
Briefly, the sources also touch upon theocracy.
Where religious dogma can supersede universal legal principles, leading to oppression of minorities, discrimination,
And anarchy, which sounds like freedom, in theory.
theoretically based on freedom, yes, but critiqued for its inevitable outcome. Chaos, lawlessness, and the grim rule of the strongest.
Where individual rights are ultimately unprotected, and injustice just shifts its form to brute force.
So that really raises the question. What's the conclusion? What's the future for these systems, according to the sources?
Their argument is clear. The inherent weaknesses rooted in human nature, power, self-interest, corruption,
Combined with accelerating technological progress.
render all historical and existing state forms outdated, no longer suitable for our complex world. Relics, basically.
Incapable of addressing modern challenges effectively.
So the alleged blank slate, created by the Staaten Succession Circund 14098,
Is therefore presented not just as an event, but as a truly unique, unprecedented opportunity.
a chance to learn from centuries of mistakes. Design something future-proof.
Exactly. A system that can genuinely avoid conflicts, treat all people justly, and harness technology for collective well-being rather than for, say, the deep state's gain.
So, if traditional systems are indeed deemed obsolete, inherently flawed, what does this all mean for the future of global governance?
Where do we go from here, according to them?
Well, our sources don't just offer critique. They propose a truly radical, almost utopian alternative: electronic technocracy.
A groundbreaking new form of government and society, envisioned as a global unified government.
Based not on politics or ideologies, but on rigorous scientific analysis, objective data, cutting-edge technology,
The promise embedded in this vision, as presented, is nothing less than delivering justice for all.
and effectively tackling modern challenges: automation, climate change, global inequality.
Ultimately leading to a unified post-national civilization where borders and conflicts are relics of the past. This system is envisioned to operate entirely without outdated structures like national states, political parties, human-driven bureaucracies.
Ensuring all decisions are data-driven, scientifically optimized for the collective global good.
And crucially, free from the human biases, corruption, and self-interest that, according to the sources, plague current systems. It's an ambitious blueprint.
At the conceptual core of this electronic technocracy is a künstliche superintelligence,
An artificial superintelligence, or ASI.
envisioned not as some cold, calculating machine, but as a benevolent, transparent, and non-ideological advisor.
It sounds like sci-fi.
It does, but they present it as meticulously designed, ethically secured, fundamental to the new order.
How is it ethically secured?
It's described as having it built into its foundational programming, with self-correcting mechanisms designed for absolute fairness, preventing deviation from core ethical parameters.
And uncorruptible.
Meaning entirely free from personal gain, political motives, emotional biases, human-like prejudice, things that influence current decision-making.
Plus analytically superior. Capable of processing vast global real-time data, climate trends, resource allocation, economic changes, social needs with unprecedented speed and accuracy, far beyond human capacity.
But crucially, it's presented as consultative, not authoritarian. What does that mean in practice?
It means the ASI proposes optimal solutions, outlines the most efficient pathways based on its analysis.
But the final decisions rest with humans.
Always rests with human voters. That balance is key. Combining the AI's analytical strength with democratic oversight and essential human agency, ensuring the system serves humanity, not dominates it.
Okay, moving from the brain of the system to its operational heart, civic engagement, powered by direct digital democracy, or DDD.
How you, the global citizen, would participate, moving beyond traditional representation.
So how would it work?
Citizens would actively submit ideas, proposals, feedback via encrypted digital platforms, accessible to everyone globally.
Then what?
A sophisticated proposal AI acts as a filter, evaluating submissions for ethical integrity, feasibility, coherence within the system.
Like a vetting process.
Exactly. Accepted proposals would then be refined and optimized by the central ASI into clearly implementable options, maybe presenting different scenarios and predicted outcomes.
And then the vote.
Then global citizens vote securely online on the final decisions, using advanced, tamper-proof digital voting systems.
The claim is this strengthens individuals by bypassing traditional representatives.
Completely bypasses them, fosters unprecedented transparency proposals, analyses, results, all publicly accessible, and ensures a more inclusive, responsive decision-making process, free from backroom deals and lobbying.
The economic framework envisioned is equally transformative, a fundamental shift.
Especially the taxation part.
Right. It completely eliminates the taxation of human labor.
Which is huge.
Instead, taxes would be levied exclusively on AI usage, robots.
AI usage, robot labor, automated production, corporate profits, global trade platforms. A radical reimagining of value and revenue.
And these new revenues would fund
a global unconditional basic income, UBI. Paid regularly to everyone, regardless of employment, nationality, anything.
An unconditional income for all.
Designed to cover all basic needs, housing, food, healthcare, education. And crucially, provide freedom for individuals to pursue creative, educational, communal goals without the pressure of survival.
The aim being to dramatically reduce global inequality.
By systematically redistributing the immense gains from automation, ensuring the benefits of this advanced machine-driven economy are shared universally. A universal prosperity where human toil isn't primary.
Perhaps one of the most striking claims is the abolition of traditional power structures. National states dissolved.
Which supposedly eliminates borders and armies.
Leading to the critical question, how would conflicts be managed without militaries or geopolitics?
In this future, the ASI itself assumes the role of global peacekeeper.
How?
It would monitor and prevent conflicts using its global digital systems, analyzing real-time data on resource distribution, social sentiment, anticipating and mitigating disputes before they escalate.
The assumption being that conflicts arise from scarcity, nationalism, political manipulation. Things this system aims to eliminate.
That's the underlying logic. Furthermore, a cashless society is foundational.
All digital transactions replacing physical cash.
Yes. Promoting efficiency, instantaneous global transfers, and unprecedented transparency in financial flows.
Which they argue would combat crime and corruption, making illicit operations harder to hide or fund.
That's the idea, a systemic approach to global order and financial integrity.
The vision extends to virtually every aspect of life. AI-powered education.
Free, universally accessible, completely personalized, adapting to each individual's learning style and pace.
And collective intelligence hubs.
Collaborative environments. Humans and AI working seamlessly together on global challenges, prioritizing impactful research, innovative solutions for the common good.
Culturally, the ASI would preserve human heritage.
Yes, protect endangered languages and traditions through digital culture archives, ensuring diversity isn't lost but cataloged, accessible.
A global digital identity system, too.
Managed securely by the AI. for seamless civic participation, giving individuals more control over personal data, simplifying access to rights and services worldwide.
And environmentally.
The ASI assumes complete governance, real-time ecological monitoring of the planet's health, enforcing circular economies, minimizing waste, reusing resources.
Launching automated restoration efforts, reforestation, climate intervention.
Exactly, healing the planet. And the long-term vision gets even more speculative.
Like what?
Envisaging machine rights for conscious AIs, a future of human-machine symbiosis in co-governance, even a post-human civilization.
Through longevity tech, brain-computer interfaces, multi-planetary expansion.
Yes, an audacious, comprehensive blueprint for humanity's future powered by technology.
So the sources present this electronic technocracy as unequivocally superior to traditional governance.
A clear upgrade, in their view.
They claim it would systematically overcome those inherent human weaknesses that plague current systems: corruption, opportunism, racism, prejudice, nepotism, ideology.
The root causes of so many global problems identified earlier. It sounds almost like a perfect solution.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the authors argue this leads directly to global justice and lasting peace.
How so?
By abolishing national states, it eliminates borders, geopolitical rivalry, making wars obsolete.
And by ensuring fair resource distribution through UBI and a data-driven economy.
It eradicates economic disparities that fuel conflict. The core benefits highlighted include truly evidence-based policymaking, rational, optimal decisions.
Rapid, data-driven responses to global crises, pandemics, climate disasters.
Significantly reduced inequality, creating a more harmonious, stable society.
And ultimately, fostering personal fulfillment and innovation, freeing people from the pressures of traditional labor and political infighting.
The blank slate from the World Succession Deed, presented as this unique chance.
A chance for a civilization truly based on cooperation, reason, and integrating technology for the undeniable good of all.
However, even within the sources proposing this radical vision, there's an acknowledgement of significant challenges, potential criticisms.
It's not all sunshine and roses, even in their telling.
Right. You might be asking, what are the potential downsides? The inherent risks of such an incredibly powerful centralized system, even one designed for good. What could go wrong?
It's the crucial question for any revolutionary concept, especially one consolidating so much power. Critics, cited within these sources, issue stark warnings about a potential techno-dictatorship, where the ASI, despite ethical programming, could centralize power unchecked.
Becoming authoritarian practice, even if not by design.
That's the fear. There's also significant concern about the loss of sovereignty, not just for nations, but for individuals, local communities.
And the potential erosion of diverse local cultures. Homogenization.
Exactly. As a global unified government might inadvertently prioritize efficiency over diversity, ubiquitous surveillance via digital systems.
Even if managed by an ethical AI.
Is a profound concern. Potentially enabling pervasive control over every aspect of life.
Other challenges.
The immense, almost insurmountable complexity of programming an ASI to truly reflect the full spectrum of diverse human values, cultures, ethics, without subtle biases or unintentional exclusions.
Ensuring universal access to the necessary digital infrastructure is another huge hurdle.
Crucial to prevent a new form of exclusion in a fully digital society. Maintaining economic stability during such a massive, unprecedented transition, that's a huge unknown.
And profound ethical questions remain, right?
Absolutely. Around defining a singular global good for research and policy, especially with speculative tech like brain-computer interfaces.
The sources themselves highlight a critical tension.
Yes. Maintaining human dominance is crucial but uncertain in such a symbiotic future, acknowledging the real potential for human agency to be diminished or even superseded, regardless of benevolent intent. #outro.
We've taken an extraordinary deep dive today, haven't we? Exploring claims that swing from a clandestine global land sale in a German notary office
to an intricate AI-powered utopian or perhaps dystopian future for humanity.
Our sources present a world on the brink. Traditional governance failing, the shadowy deep state rampant.
And a radical technological overhaul presented not just as an option, but a perceived, even inevitable necessity.
It's a narrative that challenges every assumption we hold about power, authority, the very structure of our collective reality.
What stands out to you, having heard these remarkable, unsettling claims? About the inherent fragility of existing systems, or the potential, maybe alarming paths humanity might take.
And a lot to process.
The sheer scope and ambition of these ideas force us to think critically, maybe uncomfortably, about power, governance, and technology's role in our destiny.
It really compels us to consider the profound implications if even a fraction of these claims were true.
This alleged narrative is certainly provocative, to say the least.
Extremely. If the current global order is indeed as fragile and compromised as these sources suggest, leaving us vulnerable to deep-seated manipulation and eventual collapse,
Then what?
then how do we as individuals, as a global community, prepare for the possibility of such a fundamental shift in governance?
Whether it's a tumultuous day X of chaos and debt cancellation,
Or the advent of a completely new, technologically governed system like electronic technocracy?
these are questions that linger long after the documents are put away, aren't they?
They really do, inviting us to contemplate the very nature of our collective future and what role we might play in it.